I think you're muted there, Father Mahoney.
Any part of my day. Like, I used to purposely go there. I'll just get one slice, and I would sit down at the table and play whatever game they had, and then they end up taking it out. And we don't have cool things like that at restaurants anymore.
No, I got to make my own games when I go. I usually like, take some cards, play some poker. We lay a bet or two down on how long it's going to take for the manager to come out and tell me to leave the buffet alone because I've had too much.
I remember a lot of the Pizza Huts had buffet too. I don't think all of them had it, but I think a lot of them had, like, you can get different kinds of pizzas and you pay one set price. That's another thing they don't. I think the pandemic killed stuff like buffets.
Yeah, it did. But the local Pizza Hut here, they started the thing up like the buffet, like the lunch buffet, back in 2020. So about a year and a half ago, they started.
Nice.
Because of popular demand, big fat bastards like me were like, what are we coming here for? You know?
Yeah.
It's not for the ambiance because you got rid of the video games. I don't have a jukebox to play some music, so what do you want me to do?
Me, I always wanted to try like an Italian food buffet, but the problem with that is a lot of Italian food's very heavy. So, like, how much could you really go through? Like, even me, I love all Italian food, and I think I probably would make it through maybe a second slice of lasagna, and then I'd be done.
See, I think it's heavy food, and I love Italian food. Love lasagna; it's my favorite food.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, man, if I ever if there's an Italian place that has a buffet, it better be within a mile of my house. Otherwise, I'm wearing a diaper because, dude, I'm not making it home.
No,
because I'm getting my money's worth, and I've always had this goal of getting kicked out of an all-you-can-eat buffet. And I thought I was going to get that once at a Chinese restaurant, but didn't happen. It almost happened at a Bonanza one time.
Yeah.
It was me and two of my buddies, but it was my buddy, the tall, skinny guy, who was eating so much. Like, you've had too much when you're sitting across from somebody and you have to move the plates to see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
The stack of plates you have. And these people were livid. They were sitting over there waiting to close, looking at us like, you assholes. Like, if you've ever worked in the food business, like, you might close at 10, but you want everybody's ass out of there at 9:30.
Dude, I've been in the food industries for 30 years, and I am happy at my current position. Nothing to do with food, because as much as I love the industry, the customers, man, they would complain about the fucking stupidest things. And as a customer service representative, I always wanted to just tell them "fuck you," but the customer's always right.
No, the customer.
I always had to go by that, and now I tell people everything about the places that I worked at, like Wendy's. I'll tell people the dangers of what you don't want to order at Wendy's, or how you should order at Wendy's. Like, if you want a burger, fries, whatever, get everything made fresh, because they'll have burgers sitting there for like 45 minutes and they won't throw that shit out. And when they do, they put it in the next day chili. So what they do is they have a compartment that they put the old burgers, and at the end of the night they make up the chili for the next day using burgers that weren't used during the line. So I always tell people, stay away from the chili.
You used to have a common sense show about like what to do, what not to do when going out to eat. Since you've worked there and you know what, like one of my common sense things, like, if you're constipated really bad, a double cheeseburger from McDonald's will clear that right up.
Yes, it will.
And I mean, you look at it, they could have been sitting there for 4 days. I don't know, but it will solve your problem.
It will solve your problem. It'll work better than any medicine a doctor can prescribe for you.
That's true. Hey, before we jump into some hot chick stuff, I was going to ask you, did you watch any of the Olympics at all? Did you see the breakdancing competition?
No, I kind of, it's a subject I don't want to get into, but I kind of don't want to watch the Olympics this year.
Okay.
So, yeah, but what happened?
Are you upset because your guy from Boston didn't get selected for the Olympic team?
No, it has to do with body functionings against other body functionings.
Okay, all right. So they had the dude that beat the chick up for the gold medal. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
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 So, but I did watch some of. Now, listen, I got to tell you, some of these German chicks in Switzerland and Sweden, those girls are hot. I was watching like track and field, and there was this one. I think she was like Austrian or something. I don't know what her name was. I can't say it.
Yeah.
Jesus, she would. I would let her kick my ass, and I would smile. She was so pretty. Um, but she was like wildly competitive. But I watched some of it because I know a lot of people chasing their dreams. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. But I didn't watch any of the boxing shit. That was
Yeah.
too much. I'm not watching dudes compete as women. That's not entertaining.
No. And I'm surprised that our civilization condones that now.
You know what? That culture, that pendulum's going to swing back hard the other way.
Yeah.
And when it does, these assholes have been trying to shove things down everybody's throats for the last 10 years. They're going to regret that they were so totalitarian and Marxist about their insistence on being more equal than everybody else. I don't mind the equality at all,
Let me
but
reiterate why I'm against this. I'm not against the idea of guys wanting to transform to a woman. I'm not against that. I am against using it for sport.
yeah,
Men's bodies are genetically always going to be superior, and that's not a diss against women. That's just fact. And to condone a man to get in the that's like saying, hey, Mike Tyson, I know you can't fight against the guys anymore. How about you transform to a woman and fight against women now?
yeah, I love that meme going around the internet of Mike Tyson in a wig. We're sending our
Yeah.
boxer over next year.
Honestly, what would happen if Mike Tyson did that? He would kill somebody.
Yeah. Well, these guys in rings are going to end up killing some girl at some point. And
Yeah.
and there was an MMA fight where this guy, obviously a dude with mascara on, all hulked up, and cracked some girl's skull in an MMA fight.
Yeah.
And you look at this asshole like he's all roided up. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, why would somebody put? But here's the thing: they banned the trans from swimming in the Olympics, but they put them in the boxing ring with women. Do they just want to see women get the shit beat out of them? That to me is like the meanest thing you can do, and you crush women's sports by doing this.
And you crush their dreams. These women have been competing all their life to get to this moment. This is what they've trained for. Whether it's a swimming, whether it's because they had that Riley Gaines thing happen years ago, where Riley Gaines was basically stripped of her title because a man decided that he wanted to enter it, and that they ended up as a deadlock. And who got the title? The trans woman did.
Yeah. And you know what? Good for Riley Gaines though, giving that up, because you know what? She wears a title of like integrity and and sportsmanship, and so good for her. She's been on TV and talk shows, and that other dude that swims with a bathing suit on's not.
And she knew if she was going to rebel against this, she knew she was going to be canceled.
Oh, sure.
She knew that. She knew once she spoke her mind, she was going to be the topic of conversation, but she was also going to be persecuted for it too.
But more women are standing up, and that's good because courage is contagious. And you get a few people brave enough to stand up to stupidity and idiocracy like that. That to me is cultural communism. They are the bullies.
I think I heard something today about Elon Musk and a few other, Donald Trump and someone else was going to get persecuted for their comments about the boxer in the Olympics. I can't remember who the other. What's his name? I have it on the tip of my tongue. Maybe you can look it up. But there was an article that came out today saying that the boxer is suing for prejudice, prejudicial remarks.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Welcome to America, where we can say what we think.
Yeah.
Well, except for California. And I love Elon Musk. The Governor Newsom out there made some comment about Elon Musk's speech, why he should not have said something. That he could be sued by California. It was a parody, right? So Anyway, I loved his tweet or X back out. He put like the article where Gavin Newsom had said that that he could parody was illegal, and then he
Yeah.
said, "I have consulted the world famous um, Professor Sug on D's nuts. Free speech is still legal." I was like, "Professor Sug on D's nuts? That's great."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that guy bought Twitter. Yeah. But I did watch some of the Olympics, and some of it was kind of entertaining. But it was like, what the hell's with this break dancing? Have you people have shared video of this guy or girl, I don't know which it was, um, supposedly break dancing, but it looked more like a seizure or that girl Elaine dancing from
Oh yeah,
Seinfeld
from
and then
Seinfeld.
trying to do head spins. I'm like, what in the blue hell? So the Olympic committee said next Olympics there's no more break dancing. Everybody's
Well,
just
yeah,
made fun of
because
it.
breakdancing has. I mean, they make it like it's a new thing. I remember watching breakdancing movies in the early '80s.
Breaking Two, Electric Boogaloo, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So this should have been celebrated years ago.
These guys are in heaven looking down at the Olympics like, what did they do to our style?
Yes, exactly. And I think the style you're talking about when they like look like they're having a seat, I think it's called crumping.
Uh, so I
Yeah.
watched this. This was got up early, and I was watching archery of all things, women's archery, and I was like, this little American girl, barely 21, was representing the United States with this long bow, and I'm like watching her hands shaking. They were saying she was nervous and all this before the event. She had gone pretty far,
Yeah.
and she was hitting like the bullseye's a 10, and then the next ring out's a 9, and then an 8. The further you get away, the lower the number. She was
Yeah.
hitting 9s and 10s, and I thought that's pretty good. That's probably like 30 yards.
Yeah.
No, I was wrong. 76 yards.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, where was that chick when Trump got shot? Because she could have took that asshole out, and he would have never seen it coming.
Yeah.
She could have hit him. Like, oh man, like Secret Service now hire her.
Yes. She could definitely hide. She's probably skinnier than the guy who tried to shoot Trump too.
I don't know. She was a cute little thing. She was. But I was impressed with some of the track and field chicks, and then, but I did watch a few different sports. I tried not to be too pissed off the opening ceremony and just like power through it. 'Cause like I said, a lot of people like chasing their dreams, and I didn't want to be
Yeah.
boycotting things.
But yeah, I mean, I took offense to that, but I'm also not the most super religious person. Like I believe to a point, but I see why people were getting pissed. But then other people say it wasn't about the Last Supper, and I'm like, regardless of what it was, like, what did that have to do with sports? Like,
yeah, nothing.
yeah,
They were
like
just making some
Past
political
Olympics,
left wing statement.
yeah, they just had people representing their country, and I understand, whatever France is, they have their traditions and they want to show off their country, fine and all good, but like they should have represented a little bit more sports and then a little less of their culture. That's just my opinion. But
Yeah, I mean Elvis said it right. A little less talk and a lot more action.
yeah, let's show some of these athletes who came across. What some of them came from like one country away, and some of them came from across the other side of the world away. Let's show a
Yeah,
little bit of them. Like, this is why they're here. They want to be seen. This is what, like I said earlier, this is what they've been fighting for since they became an athlete, to make it to this pinnacle.
yeah,
Yeah, let's show a little bit about them.
yeah. So I also did you get a chance to check out Backwoods Horror?
Yeah, actually, I was on part of it. I was on the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, I caught some of it. I had to jump off. Well, yeah, they go a little
They were
long
already done with
sometimes.
their reviews and everything. I just helped close out the show.
Just closing it out, man. But yeah, I was. See, I saw. Ironically, the Town That Dreaded Sundown came on today, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch a little bit of this. It was the remake of it.
I actually prefer the remake over.
I do too. Yeah, the first one was it was okay.
The first one's a little slow now to me.
Yeah.
There's certain movies that I grew up watching, like Town That Dreaded Sundown and Prom Night, and people are gonna hate me for this, but I find Prom Night boring now. I do.
I've watched Prom Night a couple, 3 times, but not all at once. I'll stop, I'll pause it, I'll do some other stuff and come back and watch it. That's not one I sit down and watch all the way through because it just doesn't hold my attention, I guess. But it's still Jamie Lee Curtis, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we talk about hot girls, and yeah, Jamie Lee always ranks up there, but the pacing is slow. The theme, because it's based, around the disco era. So I think the theme is what kills it for me, is because, I like movies that don't try to be a certain generation. If it comes off like that, that's fine, but you can clearly tell this is a movie set in the disco era. So
Yeah.
to me, I think that's what kills it for me, is like, I've never really been a disco fan, first of all. And the ones I do like, it's like, I think it slows down the movie. Like,
Yeah.
here's an example, Breakfast Club. Now, Breakfast Club, yes, it's an 80s movie, you can clearly see, but it talks about something that's still relevant today. It talks
Yeah.
about how your social status at school, the bully, the jock,
The parents and what they expect.
the geek. Yeah. So I like movies like that can basically be transformed to
Yeah.
whatever time period
Yeah.
you're watching it.
Yeah, those themes are timeless. Like that, you can go all the way back to like Shakespeare and Romeo and Juliet and Taming of the Shrew,
Yeah.
right? For the same themes, and they're told in a cool, powerful way. And we're going to get into some of these cool themes in tonight's movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of was curious if you'd um caught their show. And here's another one, like an old throwback that I will sit through, even though it's a little dry in places. Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah. Legend of Boggy Creek is a good one.
And the second one's not bad either, actually.
It's been so long since I've seen the second one. Probably closer to when it came out. That's how long
it's on Tubi if you
Okay.
feel so inclined. But the first one's not. The first one's hard to find. But the second one you can find it on Tubi pretty easily.
Yeah, and another show I wanted to bring up before we talk about some hot divas was You Don't Know Shit, the new game show on our network.
That's fun.
It is fun, and I watched the whole one the last time, and when the categories of Back to the Future and WWE came up, I'm like, why am I not on this show?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I hope I get on there one day because it's fun to watch. I've watched all of them at one.
And especially the question that what WrestleMania did Hulk Hogan wrestle Ultimate Warrior? I'm like, six.
Oh, you know what? I got that one wrong. I thought it was 7.
No, it was 6 because
I was wrong on that one.
I used to go to the live, like it wasn't the live events, but it was like live on like closed caption TV at the old Boston Garden. They used to have WrestleMania via satellite, and you would pay tickets and they would still have concession. And I went to the first 8 of WrestleManias all at the Boston Garden to watch them on the big screen.
Nice.
So yeah, and I was an Ultimate Warrior fan. I grew up a Hulk Hogan fan, but I was an Ultimate Warrior fan, and I kept screaming, "God damn it, they're gonna have Hogan beat him again!" Because I was totally transformed to a Warrior fan at that time, and boy was I shocked when the Warrior won. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, and I saw that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did you see that one on Vice about like the behind the scenes or Dark Side of Wrestling, and it had him like Ultimate Warrior, and what a story that guy had. But like, I'm surprised he could even have enough energy to wrestle.
Yeah,
some bitch was running like flat out for God knows how long to get in the ring, then runs around it twice and gets in and.
And then I was like, when did The Undertaker debut? I'm yelling. I'm like, God damn it, why don't they have this category when I come on the show? And then, of course, me and you did Back to the Future. So, of course, that category, I'm like, 1:16 a.m. And then, like, I think it was posed like 1:16 p.m. And then he tried to change his mind. And I actually was watching the show. So, like, does anybody think we should give it to Poe? And I was like, yes, give it to him.
Man, I know. Like, yeah, that's what I was thinking too on that one. But yeah, if I'm on there, they'll probably have something like health foods. I'm like, oh shit. I don't know.
What's that? What's health food?
I don't eat grass. I don't understand.
I know. Me neither. I'm not a rabbit. I'm a diabetic, and they always like, "Oh, you got to eat healthier." I'm like, man, if this like burger or if this steak or this taco is gonna kill me, so be it. At least I'll die happy.
Yeah, I know, and I'll smell like hot sauce,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's important. That's important.
I
Hey, man,
douse everything in hot sauce. So
I do too. I used to carry hot sauce with me. People thought I was nuts, but you know what? Here, I got lucky this weekend, not with like getting laid, but I called into a radio station and I won a bottle of hot sauce in this restaurant.
nice.
I've yet to go pick it up, but I'm gonna have to go do that, or have my sister go pick it up for me. But yeah, I
Nice.
wouldn't want to. Like, I'm not a bunny either. Like, I can't eat roughage.
No, me neither,
But
man.
you know who was a bunny?
Who?
Sable. Sable. We're talking
Yep.
wrestling. Sable was a
Yeah,
bunny.
we are talking wrestling before we talk about our main topic tonight. So, how I came about messaging you about this was I had watched a video on YouTube, the 10 hottest women ever in the WWE. And so I was like, I'm interested. I'm like, let's see what these guys think. You know, some of the ones I expected to be there weren't there. Like I like Victoria. Remember Crazy Victoria? I thought she was hot,
Yeah.
even though she was psycho, but she was hot. Instead, they put Ivory, and I'm like, Ivory was never hot. I don't care what anyone says. And China was never hot. China was popular, but China couldn't even wrestle. Like they put her in there because of her physique and her popularity, and that's it. So I'm like, on my next show, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell people who I think, and yes, you may not agree, or the people who are watching may not agree, but I guess that shows that everybody has their own likes, their own tastes, and yeah, if that person did like Ivory, God bless them.
It's all subjective.
Yeah, but I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. So you said that you made a little list with a couple of
yeah, I had some
so
honorable
who are your
mentions.
honorable mentions first?
But I'm using like all wrestling from like, but
Yeah.
really the only wrestling we had is like WCW or AEW or WWE, right?
Now
So,
I will warn you: if you say Mae Young, I will disown you as a friend.
man, I had her on my honorable mention. I'm just kidding. Now my honorable mention had like 5 honorable mentions. I don't know if you watch any of the AEW now, but
I watch a little bit here and there.
There's a chick on there who's like rivaling the girls' champion. Her name's Mariah.
Yes.
And yeah, a little British girl, and wow, hot, right? Do you remember back in the day with WCW? Remember Deborah McMichaels?
Yes.
Wow. And then did she later marry that Stone Cold guy?
Yes. Yeah, it was Deborah. What's his real last name again? Steve.
I don't know. I never knew.
I can't remember, but because that's the name I knew her by. But
she was smoking hot. Like if you could get by that real thick accent, she was smoking hot. But I don't know, being from the South, I kind of like the accent. You know? Lita.
Yes.
Lita, like if there's a top 10 list, she has to fall on that. Sable is one of them, and from that AEW, that Britt Baker.
Yes, Britt Baker is a hottie.
Yeah, if you're on Twitter and you happen to see her pop up in like a bikini shot, it's like wow. And she's actually a real dentist. Go figure. So
yes,
Dr. Britt Baker. The doctor is in. It kind of reminds me of like House of a Thousand Corpses. Let's call the doctor. And because like every picture you see like on the logo of her with the wrestling, she's bleeding from the head profusely.
Yes.
But she cleans up nicely. That's all I'm saying.
She does.
So there's some honorable mentions I was tossing out there. Remember the girls who used to, the dancers for WCW?
Nitro dancers?
Yes. Back in college, everybody have those college parties and watch Monday Nitro.
Yeah, I remember they would show that too. They would show like different colleges, and they'd have the like Mean Gene would show up sometimes, or
yeah. That was cool though. Yeah. They never showed up at my campus, but I watched all the time. But you have some honorable mentions?
I never really made a list. I was gonna just throw them right off the cuff.
I throw them out. Let's do it.
So AJ Lee is up there with me.
Oh, I forgot her.
Yeah, AJ Lee. Wow. I could have a lot of fun with her. Although CM Punk would take exception to that. The cat who used to be married to Jerry Lawler. When she came out with that, one of those little things that you pop. She had a little bikini made out of like the pop bubbles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit. And then, of course, she was the very first one to take a chance of revealing her nudity right on a show. She took off her top, and Mae Young tried to cover her up real fast. And I'm like, God, I want to be Mae Young right now because she's holding basically her breast.
Yeah, wardrobe malfunction. Live.
Yeah, wardrobe. Yeah, that just like saying Janet Jackson had a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
You mentioned Sable already. Amazing body. Let's see. This one's gonna shock people. Ronda Rousey. I always wanted to get manhandled by a woman, and that's a woman to do it right there. She was in a TV show one time. She made a cameo appearance, and a guy goes, "Oh, I'll let you beat me up in the ring," and she's just like, "Let me," like, because she's she was playing basically herself, a UFC fighter. He goes, "What I mean is I wouldn't fight back," and she goes, "You couldn't last 15 seconds with me." He goes, "Okay, that's a challenge." She goes, "Hell, if you last 30 seconds with me, I'll let you fuck me." I would take that challenge right there. I would, just,
You'd have a broken nose, missing teeth. Like,
yeah.
Girl.
Paige, also known as Saraya. I would do things to her that would defy the laws of gravity.
And probably illegal in 4 states.
Probably illegal in 4 states or more states. But man, Paige, when she first came up, I liked that goth look that she had. I was so fixated on like watching her every week. And I was so mad that the WWE didn't give her a chance to come back. And I don't blame her for jumping ship. She's still hot today.
She's over in that other one now. Yeah,
she's at AEW as Saraya now.
Yep.
And of course, Mercedes Moné is another one. I've always had a thing for her. Back to the WWE days. Sexy little fox. But my number one is Miss Elizabeth. I would totally, yes, Miss Elizabeth all had me from day one, because I remember when Macho Man first came to the WWF, but I'm going to say F because it was F back then. And he was looking for a manager. And of course, all the guy managers are lining up. Bobby Heenan, you had Mr. Fuji, you had Slick, Jimmy in the Mouth of South Hop, always about. And of course, those Freddie Lashley was still there too. And he goes, "Oh, I appreciate all the blah blah blah," but he goes, "I'm bringing in someone else." And when Miss Elizabeth came out, my mouth was on the floor. I wanted to pull her skirt down and go to work right there. Tell us how you really feel, Rob. But I was fixated on Miss Elizabeth from day one, and I am so pissed at Lex Luger for killing her, because his drugs killed her.
Oh yeah, and he's paying a heavy price in life too, just for like, what comes around goes around, man. Karma.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in a wheelchair. He's deteriorating, and he's a shell of what he should have been and could have been.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's some other women, of course, but Stacy Keibler comes to mind too.
Yeah, she was my number 5.
Yeah. So go into your top 5.
Yeah, I used to remember how she would like get into the ring, stiff leg between the second
And
top
she'd always
rope.
bend over right there.
Oh,
She'd
I
bend
know.
over. Oh, God
Dressed
damn.
in that little short skirt, like a little schoolgirl with that top tie, that white shirt. Anyway, yeah. So how can you ever forget that? She was actually on Dancing with the Stars,
Yeah, I
and
heard about that.
that one guy called her legs weapons of mass seduction. And I'm like, dude, if you've been watching wrestling for the last 5 years, you have no idea.
You have no idea yet.
But yeah, she was a crazy gorgeous hot. There was a girl a long time ago called Kelly Kelly.
Yes. I missed that one. Yeah.
And my third one was this girl, Liv Morgan, who sort of looks a lot like Harley Quinn. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's sort of her shtick.
She
You
could
know,
definitely play Harley Quinn in a movie.
short little girl, but just absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of throwback to Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
Not only does that girl just have just a banging body, but she had the kind of face she could walk into a room and smile and probably light the. If she was like fat below the shoulders, she could still walk into a room with that smile and light everything up.
Yeah.
She was just a beautiful person. Number one on the list, if I got to be like a hound dog here, Anna Jay from AEW.
Oh, I forgot about her.
That girl has to be like, she could easily be a bikini model. She could be like a runway model, like anything at all.
She could be a porno star.
She has got like this awesome look about her, and but her face is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And she's like real, like, you can tell she's all woman, like all ladylike, and just
Yeah.
feminine. And but I guess she's pretty good in the ring too, so she's quite popular. But just absolutely stunning, gorgeous. Like, I don't follow many people like celebrities on Instagram. I'll follow her because, damn, that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, like, she's my number one.
Yeah, there was a couple of women in ECW that were pretty hot. So I forgot about Anna Jay. So that's a good call. Good call.
Yeah, so I think all of them are mostly like WWE people, but or like a couple throwbacks to WCW back in the day.
There's one girl that she's new, so I couldn't really judge her just yet. But if we do this list again in like 2 years, she may be on it. Is Tiffany Stratton, who's on SmackDown right now, and she's the SmackDown champion. She has the Money in the Bank briefcase. So
okay, yeah, I don't.
But
it's been a while since I've watched.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine,
yeah, go ahead.
Last week, a friend of mine goes to the Wednesday night AEW, and it's over in I don't say Norfolk, but it's like in North Carolina somewhere, Winston-Salem, right? So he goes to it. He takes his two daughters. They love this stuff, and they'll dress up like their favorites, and they'll go and I just texted him. I said, "Is there an Anna Jay sighting?" I was just kind of kidding, And I didn't hear back from him. And then about an hour later, I get a text message, her getting in the ring, like, no, she was in the ring, but kind of like bending over, like to pick the other girl up by the hair of the head, and like had a great backside pick. And he said, "You're welcome." Great. That was kind of funny, but yeah, I guess there's a lot of like acting. There's a whole lot that goes into that stuff. That's a big production.
Yeah.
Those shows. So kudos to them, because they have to be just as good as an actor as they are an athlete.
Yeah, there's a girl. I don't get to watch it very often, but there's a girl on TNA called Jordan Grace, and she's pretty hot. But I don't get the channel that TNA covers, so I only can watch it when people like post it on their TikTok or whatever. But she's pretty hot. She did appear in the WWE twice when they did the crossover shows. They've been getting some people from other federations into NXT, and once in a while they even show up on WWE.
See what?
Because I think WWE has a contract with TNA right now to do like a cross promotion.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me about it is, like, you have the men's division, you have the women's division. I know in like each one there's probably a couple of trans, and there's probably some gay people, and that's fine, but we're the midgets. I mean, if we're going to talk about diversity, and I hate to harken back to my good friend Ron Burgundy, But I do believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Diversity is an old, old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War era. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're the midgets, man. Represent the midgets. Bring them back.
We do.
If we're going full on diversity, I want Amish wrestling.
What was
Yeah.
Amish? Amish?
Yeah, give me an Amish division.
Nice.
Ezekiel versus Jacob in a ladder match, and we're talking a real ladder match. Top of the barn kind of shit.
Yeah, like the old school hard, not these plastic ladders that they have now.
Yeah, and you don't have that dumb, like, cut your hair match. No. Loser has to milk the bull.
Oh, yeah, I get that reference. The Milk the Bowl from the
Kingpin.
Woody Harrelson movie.
Yeah, Kingpin.
Kingpin, yeah.
Oh,
I took the liberty to milk the bull for you. We don't have a bull. We don't have a cow. We have a bull.
It was a little tough, but it all came out in one shot.
Exactly.
So funny.
Like, I think I'll clean up before. Yeah, go ahead, go do that. Go clean up because you just basically jerked him off.
So, question: where's Poe? I know Poe's somewhere like remotely, but
I don't know. He's entered a new dimension of sight and sound. He has now entered the Twilight Zone.
Well, there's some Pizza Huts that were like that, but he is in
That was-
Texas, so you go onto the wrong highway, you never know what you're going to find down there.
Oh, you didn't hear the promise I made the backwoods, did you?
No.
So we're supposed to have a meeting in Missouri in 2025.
All right.
I told them I'd make the trip to Missouri, and then Steven, who runs You Don't Know Shit, he's like, yeah, we'll all get together and do a show right from Missouri.
Huh.
So yeah, 2025. It's going to be a backwoods reunion of Dognut Media.
I know. We're going to be doing some, I guess Poe teased it, but like some fantasy football coming up.
Yeah,
So,
I can't wait till that starts too.
season's almost here, so I need to get up with those guys because I know I'm going to be out of town for.
Because I know Poe would find it humiliating if a northern boy like myself beat a Texas boy, because I plan on doing that. I plan on if I don't win, at least if I beat the Texas boy who lives, breathes, and everything football in Texas, I'll consider that a victory.
But yeah, I think I want to. It'd be cool to have the rule for the league. Whoever the winner of the league is next year gets to name the last place team.
No, I believe he's going to stick to that because we did talk about that once, and he's like he liked that rule about whoever wins gets to name the last place team.
We used to have a rule in this other league, like if you drafted some guy and he got arrested during the course of the year, then when you came to, like, if he got arrested some week, when you come to watch football on Sunday, you owed the league a case of beer.
I had Aaron Hernandez one year, so.
What do you have to bring from cover murder? Like, what's the penalty for that one? I mean, you get arrested, it's a case of beer, like murder.
Did you see the Tom Brady roast?
Yes.
How many times they brought up Aaron Hernandez? Even Tom Brady was like, it wasn't that hard of be a tight end in New England. All you had to do was listen to me, block, and not murder anybody.
Yeah, I know. That was funny.
I was like, oh shit, he went there.
I was actually surprised he went there, but that was funny. And I think Nikki Glazer stole the night.
And Gronk almost lost his shit. Like you see Gronk's reaction. He's like, "Oh shit, Tom went there."
Yeah. I mean, I think Nikki Glazer probably stole the night, though. That was funny as hell what she did.
But I was actually surprised how funny Tom Brady was. Like even Peyton Manning, because I always look at Peyton Manning as a very mild man.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he had a funny bone in him, and he was talking funny. So much. Yeah, he was hilarious. So good for. I will say that good for Tom Brady. He can laugh about himself.
Did you see Brady and Eli were at some sort of a jersey signing?
Yeah,
and like they signed, some guy had the Brady's. No, it was Eli's jersey, and I guess they had to go have like Tom sign it. and Tom wrote, what do you write? Fuck off, Tom Brady. And then they took it over to Eli, and Eli looked at that, and he decided to talk, good game, Eli. It was so funny. But yeah, I like that.
Eli's the luckiest quarterback in history. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Patriot fan, but that one catch, the one from like the helmet.
Oh yeah, the helmet catch. That was
no one in their life can catch that. Like
one in a million.
That's a 1 in a million catch.
Yeah,
and you can't convince me otherwise.
But that second game, the second Super Bowl that they won, man, to leave what's his face there right in the corner of the end zone and not cover him any better. They dropped, but they didn't have enough time on the clock to get down and score. But yeah, that was I forget the guy's. He's on TV a lot, but yeah, that was a funny roast. I may go back and watch that again.
Yeah.
But you know what that was like? That reminded the reason I thought it was so funny because the jokes were funny, but you had all these Patriots there, Bill Belichick. You knew that tension was in the room, and it's like it was almost like a therapy session. It felt like in a way, like they got to get a lot of crap off their chest, but anyway, that's kind of the way I felt. Like I was sort of nervous myself.
That's why I say kudos to Tom Brady because he knew, like, yeah, this is all fun and games, but people are probably going to use a little bit of truth in there, and good for him for letting people like roast him like that.
It's so funny. Gronk gets up there and talks about coaching. He goes, "Sir," like he could act like they were still scared of him in a way. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it was good to see that though. But I am looking for
more bigger celebrities did that.
But our fantasy football thing should be fun, and it'd be kind of fun to get together and talk on the shows about fantasy football. And there's a lot of that's just a big thing. A lot of people watch that stuff, and I've been doing that. I've been doing that for 24 years, man.
Me too. I've been not as long, but I used to do like the free just bragging rights on Yahoo. Yahoo used to have the fantasy leagues.
Yeah,
that you could do for free. So it's just bragging rights then.
Yeah.
But you know what? I feel like right now we're becoming the backwards horror because we're about 50 minutes in and we still haven't talked about the movie. That's a backward thing.
That is a backward thing, but we talked some fun stuff though. I thought a couple of those guys might pop in tonight, but
I left the open invitation. So if they don't want to be part of the fun, then we'll just have fun without them.
They're just sitting around, punching the clown, drinking PBR, masturbating. The thoughts of
going bald.
So. Age hits, man. I'm glad my hair is always cut short, but when I let it grow out, it's the thickest damn head of hair. It's like
wait till y'all see me with a bald fade. It's the closest thing you can get to being bald. So
I do enjoy shaving my hair once in the fall, let that cool air go across. Yeah, what movie are we talking about, Rob?
So we're talking about the 1984 classic, Revenge of the Nerds. And
nerds.
I did some, nerds. So I did some research on this, and it had an $8 million budget and grossed $41 million.
That only had an $8 million budget?
Yep. And it came in 15th place that year for 1984, which is not bad for a movie that, let's be honest, it's not a great acting movie. You're there for the fun, you're there for the hijinks, you're there for to me it's like Porky's. Watching Porky's, you're not going to get 5-star acting, but you're going to have fun. And I have fun with this movie. I still do to this day.
I think for the younger people that are maybe watching, like you loved American Pie. Well, like there's no American Pie without a movie like this in the early 80s. Because this is kind of, I don't know if they get away with some of that stuff today. It's very misogynistic and sexist, but it's funny as hell. Like it had to be in the 80s in that time, or nobody would make that today. And I wouldn't think, but I would hope they would. But
there's an undertone to this too. A lot of people don't see it, but this movie is also about bullying. We talked earlier about social status, like Breakfast Club, Can't Buy Me Love. All these movies talk about like different cliques and different ways of life, and this one basically features just You have the girl cheerleaders who have stuck up. You have the muscle jocks of the alpha betas, and then you have the trilambs, who of course are all the geeks. So it doesn't touch on all the social statuses, but in the end, this movie basically is a comedy about bullying.
Yeah.
And I actually, as a young person, I was 13 when this came out. I learned a lot about this, about my social status in life, because I was kind of both. I played sports, but I was not really looked on as like someone that you want to. I was like the outcast, so I was always picked on a lot, like the nerds are in this movie. So I could see this movie from both angles in a way. But we start off with meeting Lewis and Gilbert, and the amazing James Cromwell plays the father in this, and we're seeing them go to school. And James Cromwell claims that he came up with the nerd laugh in a movie he did before this. And the laugh that you hear him do is the same laugh. I don't know how true that is. I didn't get the movie he was referring to, but and well, let's see if I can do it.
I read something about that because Robert Carradine, who was like, what's the nerd's name? I forgot.
He was Lewis.
Lewis, all right. So Lewis, Robert Carradine, his dad is John Carradine, brothers David Carradine, right? So like they come from a good line of actors. They asked him to do some sort of really funny laugh of what I was reading, and they described the character's laugh like being like the honk of a goose. So he couldn't quite nail it. Yeah, so he couldn't nail it. But James Cromwell, the guy who played the father, right? So he had this laugh. So when Carradine just started imitating him, and he said it worked so well, they just kept using it through the whole film.
But the other fact I learned about Robert Carradine's character is originally it was offered to Rick Moranis.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, Rick Moranis turned it down because he had just did Ghostbusters, where he played a nerd, and his name was Lewis. So I don't know if he didn't want to be typecast as a nerd. But I mean, he ended up doing Little Shop of Horrors, where he kind of played a nerdy character too. So, and he also did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which he was like a nerdy dad. So, I don't know why he didn't take the role, but
well, I think maybe one reason why, and I read this about what's his name, the guy that played Booger, right? Curtis Armstrong. Yeah. He almost didn't take that role because when he read the script, he's like, this, I don't have a lot of lines in this. You want me to act like this gross nerd, with no hygiene. But at the time, he had just come off of that movie with Tom Cruise.
Risky Business.
Risky Business. And after when they were interviewing him, and I read somewhere that he thought that he didn't want to do this because he thought this movie was a big step down from where he was next to Tom Cruise in this big hit.
Yeah.
But he did it anyway because I guess they sort of needed the money. And a lot of his lines in there he didn't have. They would just ask him and some of the other actors, especially the guy who played the Asian guy,
Brian Tochi.
Yeah, to actually ad lib things. So even though like the poker scene where he cheats him and all that stuff was ad libbed.
Yeah.
And they would just come into films like, can you guys just ad lib something? And that's where all his lines mostly came from. They just ad libbed them. But he thought it was a step down, and maybe that's why the other guy didn't take the role of Lewis, because he maybe thought it was a step down after Ghostbusters. Because Ghostbusters is still iconic.
Yeah, Ghostbusters is still iconic today. Not that this movie isn't. This movie still entertains me today. But yeah, Curtis Armstrong was like almost 30. I think he was 29 going on 30 when he did that role. And even today, he did an interview maybe 10 years ago, said that his character definitely still is not a nerd. He just happened to be in that dorm And
Yeah.
when they all got thrown out, he basically became part of their clique. But
Yeah.
he says the character is not a nerd.
Oh, and also remember, he was on that show Moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd.
Yes.
So he might have really thought, again, like the other guy, maybe a step down in career. So
yeah.
But I'm glad he did it because I can't see anybody else be a booger.
Yes, and some great characters came out of this movie too, and some of them didn't even have big roles, like Donald Gibb, who played Ogre. Ogre, to this day, I still love this do that. Nerds.
No, I hear that in my head all the time. That's like you can see a picture of it and hear it, like his face.
Yes.
John Goodman, another guy that was in there, the coach. Yeah. Look how his career blew up after this, and
exactly.
Anthony Edwards went on to Top Gun, and a bunch of other stuff. So
I think
there's some guys who did well.
Wasn't he on ER too?
Yeah, he was on ER. Yeah, he went to ER in the '90s, so he was pretty big on that show.
Yeah, so this did launch people's careers. Then there's other characters like Lamar Latrell, like Larry B. Scott. Lamar Latrell.
They had to design a javelin for his limp-wristed style.
And my very first crush came out of this movie too. Julia Montgomery. How can you get tired looking at that ass, Takashi? Oh, I see your point.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
See, again, this movie was really sexist. There was the panty raid, and of course, David Carradine having sex with his arch enemy's girlfriend, like he had a disguise, so she thought it was him.
Yeah, that's still talked about today. How, do we consider that like taking advantage, like maybe not rape, but like deception? It's like he took advantage of a situation where she was horny. She wanted to get it on with Stan Gable, who by the way, Stan Gable played perfectly by Ted McGinley. Like, he's the character in the movie that you just want to punch his face.
And it went on to Married with Children.
Yeah. So another great career that came out of McGinley. That they discovered Married with Children was, when they were losing Steve. I forget who played Steve. They're like, who could we get? And God, they perfectly cast as Jefferson. Yeah. But I still call them Steve on Married with Children. Yeah. I still call them. I'm Stan. I still call him Stan. Stan Gable. He'll always be Stan Gable to me. But the point I was getting to was she was really horny. He was, he's macho. He's like, I just want to go work out. Blah blah blah. So. Does what happened to her? Is that okay? Because how she was judging Lewis the whole movie, and then of course she's like, God, you did things to me like you never did before, and then she finds out it's Lewis. I mean, I'm not saying that it's okay, but she didn't seem to have a problem with it when she realized either.
In the end, she ran to him and said, "My God, I'm in love with a nerd," and she was a cheerleader, right? So
so like, I don't see the if she came out and said, "Oh my God, you took advantage of me," blah blah blah. Okay, but she was perfectly fine with the love making and falling in love, and she even came back to do part 3 and part 4.
Yeah, so, and when people watch movies like this and they make complaints, and you can always look in hindsight and judge anybody's character, anybody's role in a movie, or why a movie was made, or somebody in an interview, or because the times are different. If you're always going to judge people in the past, whatever your current moral standard is, nobody's ever going to live up to anything you expect. Yeah, and expect that 50 years down the road, somebody's going to do the same damn thing to you.
It's
so it's just a different time, different culture. Not everybody was so uptight and offended by everything. So
the movie I hear the most about that is Rocky V, when he gives his son the necklace from Rocky Marciano, and he puts it on his ear and says, and Rocky says, "Oh, you look like the daughter I never had." And people get pissed at that. And I'm like, that was back in 1990s. Like, we didn't worry about shit like you guys do today. It's
so we're in a weird culture. Everybody's going to be offended by something.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, it's kind of a little a little off course, but I was watching Matt Damon in an interview, and he was talking about why movies can't be made today the way they used to, like films that you can't do. And
Yeah.
I think Tarantino's talked about this because the culture is weird. You just can't do stuff. But anyway, Matt Damon went on to say, like, technology has gotten so far advanced, like, you could make a movie and expect to lose money on the movie, but when the DVD came out, it was like a second release. And
Yeah.
now nobody's doing DVDs. So if you can't have the money to make money back on the first release, then it's just a lost cause because you're not making anything on streaming.
Yeah.
And it talked about a lot of those indie films in the 90s that got really big. I miss the Sundance Channel, Independent Film Channel, because
Yes.
you could take risks with those. And nobody can even afford to take a risk today, which I
No.
think hurts the culture because they can't see the other side of a thought.
And then people wonder why there's so many remakes coming up, because they can do a movie that's already been done, but now make it socially acceptable to today's. So they can take out certain things that might have got offended in the OG film, take them out and make it for today's audiences.
And they
And
almost did that to this film. Did you know that back in 2007 they were going to remake Nerds, but
Yeah.
then it didn't go anywhere. Like they stopped. They were actually going to do a series, and they did a pilot, and they didn't even run with that because I think some of the themes that was used during the original film, if they wanted to be true to it, they probably thought they just couldn't. And
Yeah.
again, that's because the culture kind of went backwards. Everybody turned into a candy ass.
But see, that's why I like watching these movies like Revenge of the Nerds, to go back to a more acceptable time where people didn't get offended by everything. And just, it's a comedy. That's like today's comedians are afraid to do certain jokes now. But when we grew up, comedians let it all loose. They picked
Oh
on
yeah,
everybody.
that's where
But
you get to
today,
take risks. Yeah,
and that's why I go back to these movies like Revenge of the Nerds, because those were times when it was just a movie. It wasn't what they really felt like. This was just a movie, a fake depiction of. You think these guys go home? You think Donald Gibb goes home and says "nerds" at his house? No. So it's, to me, like films like this, Porky's, all the movies that got, even like American Pie, like they couldn't make American Pie now.
no.
I know they still have the sequels, but they're not as funny as they were. But
That was like the youngest end of the Gen X. Probably
yes,
doing those and Kevin Smith movies and like the Clerks and stuff. You just can't do them today. They
but
still try to do some of them, but nobody
yeah,
watches them anymore.
like the scene when the lambda, not the lamb, the alpha beta is burnt down their house.
Yeah.
Then they're talking about how where are we gonna live, blah blah blah. How about the Tri-Lam's place? And they ruin, they throw everybody out, they throw them through the window. You saw that prejudice towards being different. Like the nerds weren't jocks, obviously.
Yeah.
But I could see what Curtis Armstrong was saying about his character, because he's the only one that would always basically like screw them, fuck them. Like he was always like the rebel of the group, until later on when, of course, Lewis and Gilbert finally had enough. But he was the rebel, and I think I was closest to his character. If I put myself anywhere in the movie, I'd be like the booger of the movie, because I did pick my
Oh,
nose. Yeah, I burped. I did all the things Booger did.
yeah. Like Booger and Ogre were easily my two favorite characters. And just to
Yeah,
kind of like, I'm not going to give the movie away for anybody that wants to watch it, but the thing is, the movie, the theme is about these underdog kids, nerds that people are like they're outcast. They don't fit in, so they're
yeah,
kind of run over. So it's an underdog story. I love that theme.
yes,
And they get picked on so much that they decide they decide to have courage and fight back. So it's really a story of finding your own courage and let's fight back. Let's get even with these people. All these people that make fun of you. That's why they did the panty raid, because they thought it was funny. They, of course, they put the video in there, the video cameras, and
yeah,
all that stuff in the sorority house. And then they decide what they're going to do. Is when it comes to like co-ed days where they have all these like Olympic competitions on campus, they're
yeah,
going to challenge because the winner the fraternity that wins the games, they get to control the Greek Council the next year, right?
Yeah.
So they go out there and compete in all these things. Now the bike scene with what's his name, Takashi or
Gosh, yeah.
yeah, because you have to like do a lap, drink a beer, do a lap, drink a beer, and whoever can go the most laps wins that contest. Now that was hilarious. The
Yes.
burping scene, like they had the belching contest that Ogre from the Alpha
Hey,
Betas, the Betas have won so many times. But here's the funny thing about this burp. I looked this up. This is so funny. So the guy Armstrong, right? So he goes into this burp competition. He said that's obviously that's one of the most memorable scenes from the movie.
yes.
Ogre burps, and everybody's like, "How in the world is he getting after guzzling beer out of this trophy?" They're like, "Well, how's he going to compete with that?" He just he spits, takes a or puts his cigarette out in the coach's beer,
Yes.
takes a half a drink of PBR, crushes a can, throws it, and then like stands there with the microphone and lets out this rip roaring belch that lasts forever, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
It had to be
Even
about
Ogre,
it had to be 20 seconds.
oh yeah, even Ogre looked like a little kid scampering away from something he was afraid of. He's like,
Yeah.
So
No,
the funny
Ogre
thing
has
about the noise,
yeah,
he
go
said that
ahead.
he couldn't burp. Like he was trying to burp, but he couldn't. So they had to use this modulated recording of a camel. Now here's the legend of this, right? If this if Armstrong, when he said was to be believed, when Booger was interviewing about this, the noise was recorded when the camel in question, and then I'm reading this here, was experiencing a moment of ecstasy. A camel belting out when it's like in the middle of like copulating.
Yeah.
But that's the noise we hear as a camel like blowing his load.
But
So that's funny.
yeah, I keep referring to the nerd scene where he yells nerds, Ogre, but really he shines in that scene with Olympics. Ogre does.
Yeah.
There's a couple of memorable scenes, even when he was arm wrestling the girl. And it's a big struggle. He's being tested for the first time by a woman, and when he wins, he doesn't look like a victor. He's literally crying because he's like, it took me that long to beat her.
She about
And
kicked his ass. It was so
yeah,
funny.
and then the scene when they're wondering why the lambdas are selling so many pies, and he goes over there. He's eating it with his hand. He's like this. I wonder why they're selling so many. He's like, oh, I know why. It's Stan's pie. That's why.
Stan's girlfriend naked. A picture
Yeah,
of it they stamped on the plates.
yeah.
But it was so funny though. That whole movie was very funny. But
But I think Ogre shined the most during that scene. Like he had so many memorable scenes in just the Olympics.
yeah. And there are certain '80s movies that I think this younger generation, teenagers like 16 and above, in the early 20s, probably should watch. This is one of them.
Yes.
But again, if you're thin skinned, you get offended by everything. Just turn the movie off. Don't go
Yeah.
bitching at everybody about how bad these people were. It's a different time, different era, different mood, different
Yeah.
comedy, different humor. It's all.
Yeah, because that's what I hear a lot when I watch like these reaction channels. They're always like 20 somethings watching something for the first time, and every time I see someone react to this, they always bring up that scene when Lewis has the mask and seduces Stan's girlfriend, and it's like really like this was meant as like in a way it was not a retro. They'd say, "Oh, he's trying to get back at her." No, he's not. He's just a guy who's really likes her, and she's trying to judge him because he's not a football player. He's not her type. But how do you know what your type is until you see it up front? And I think that's why when she came out of that and realized, oh my God, that wasn't Stan. But she's like, oh my God, like you're amazing. Like, and then like you said, she falls in love with him, and so I don't think we should judge that because he didn't take advantage of her per se. He just wanted to like basically say, "This is the person I am." That's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
I don't know if you knew this, but they partied a lot on that set when they did that.
Yes.
I read this one thing here where It says Revenge of the Nerds is known for being a bit of a party movie, and there's even more of that going on off camera. Poindexter actor Timothy Busfield recalls at 6 a.m. in the morning, we would go to somebody's room and order 38 orders of bacon and eggs and 2 cases of beer.
Yeah.
They had to have a doctor. Takashi actor Brian Tochi says, in the morning, because we were so beat, many of us would stand in line waiting for the on-set doctor to inject us with vitamin B12 to get us going the next day. That is, now that's a party. And they filmed it at the University of Arizona, by the way.
I don't know his name, but if you could look up the one that played Wormser, the 13-year-old kid.
Yeah, Kassaman, is that his name?
Yeah,
Kassaman?
he was actually 13. He was the only one that had a memorable, as far as like being authentic. So when they did a lot of this stuff, they tried to keep him away from that.
Yeah, I can imagine why they would.
13. So
yeah, I mean, his parents would probably blew their stack if they had him around for a lot of that.
I mean,
stuff.
the only scene that he really did that was like maybe iffy was the scene when they were in the party and he's talking to their boobs.
Yeah,
I think that's the closest he got to like stepping outside of that 13-year-old box. But
yeah, he was the one who said that he actually witnessed the cops arrest somebody and take him off set that was the drug dealer around there.
Yeah,
so they're getting everybody loaded. Yeah.
And he ends up becoming one of my favorites towards the end because, when he gets to campus, he looks like he's going to be a stuck-up kid. Like, I'm 13, I'm a super genius, blah, blah, blah. So I thought maybe he'd be a little stuck up. But by the end, like, he really loosened up, and he was part of that memorable dance scene at the end with Lamar Latrell doing the lambda, 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 and omega boo. If anyone can tell me that they did not like that scene, the music scene, they're crazy.
Yeah,
that scene was so much fun.
Now, I guess I know we're not going to talk about like Revenge 2, but they even had a cooler musical version too. Yes. They rocked out. By the way, the kid's name Andrew Cassis.
Cassis, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I know what scene you're talking about when they're standing up for their right and. Just vote something. The song was called "Just Vote No" or something like that, or
No on 15. Yeah,
no on 15. Yeah, that was a fun one too. Once again, led by Lamar Latrell. So
that was what a really cool movie. That, like I said, only did you have a favorite character or favorite scene from this one?
Favorite character definitely has to be Booger, and my favorite scene is probably another ad lib scene was. We've got Bush.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. No, because Takashi's like half high.
I like the scene when they were playing cards, and Takashi goes, "I have a thrush," and then Booger's response to that.
They had such good chemistry, him and Takashi.
Yeah, that was probably. But yeah, Booger and Ogre. Like I'm torn between who my favorite is, and that. But those two, they played off each other even better in part 2.
Yeah,
Booger and Ogre. So that was what a cool movie though. Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna change my favorite scene. The favorite scene was the speech by Gilbert at the end. When he talked about if you had called a nerd, when him and Lewis were making a speech, I think that movie, that ending was right for it because even though it's a comedy, like I said, the undertone of this film is bullying. So I thought that was a perfect way of ending it. Let people know, like, you don't have to like look like us, but have you ever been treated differently because of how you act or how you
look down upon? Yeah, that was a powerful speech, but
that was a powerful scene for such a funny movie. It really changed the tone of the film, and then of course they made it more uplifting, like nerds. They started chanting nerds, and so they made it like a funnier ending. But man, that scene hits hard. So I think that's my favorite scene. It's just because it's still like that in life today. People still looked upon as like you're not cool as us. You're not someone I want to hang around with. So are they nerds because of that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to change my favorite scene too. I think the scene where they go a beer per lap in the
Yeah.
games. That's
But we
that was
forgot another
hilarious.
great scene before we talk about other things. We forgot another great scene. The scene when the nerds got their revenge on the jocks by putting hot.
Oh,
Oh my God!
liquid heat in their jock
Liquid
straps.
heat. And then when they tell UN, and UN's like, UN's another great co-star, played by Bernie Casey.
Yeah,
When he tells them, he's like, "Am I mad? No." That's all. He was basically so proud. He like inducted them into the Lambda family on that alone. So, and
yeah,
of course the party scene's a great one too.
yeah,
When they have the party to celebrate them being honorary tri-lambs.
yeah,
That's a great scene too. But we could talk all night about Revenge of the Nerds and how many great scenes there are. But if anybody who's watching or watches on replay, if you haven't seen it and you're not looking for a serious movie, you're looking just to have a good time, check this one out.
yeah. And leave some comments in the bottom down below. Let us know what you think of it.
Yeah, please
And I
let us
double
know.
dog dare you to check out part 2. That was awesome.
Yes. But so we're gonna go to the rankings. I don't know if Poe is watching or if he just checks in every once in a while. But if he wants to throw out a ranking too, or a rating, so we'll start with you. What do you rate out of 5 stars?
Me or Poe?
Yeah, you.
You know what? As far as comedy in the '80s, this is a 4-star for me for a comedy. This checked off a lot of boxes of just college humor. I think's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna stick with you on this one. A 4-star. Is it a perfect film? No, but this movie influenced a lot of what you see for high school movies today. If you can watch American Pie and not see a similarity, then I don't know what you're looking at, because the hijinks that goes on in American Pie, that was created by this movie and Porky's. Without these two movies, without Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds, there is no American Pie.
Yeah, I know
So,
those were two of the edgier ones
yeah.
in that genre, and I mean, I don't see you have those films without this. You're right.
So yeah, so I'll stick with a 4 also. If Poe isn't listening, he can put his review later on in chat or in the comment section or wherever. But so yeah, I haven't thought of a topic yet for in 2 weeks, so we'll keep you guys in touch with that. But yeah, I want to thank Mr. Poe for. If you're in Pizza Hut, eat a slice for me, please. If you're eating at a barbecue, especially if it's Tyree's barbecue, get a T-bone or whatever Tyree's cooking up today for me. But do you have any shows coming up on Gonzo?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what topic I'm gonna do just yet. You're welcome to come back on, or anybody from Backwoods or Steve, if you know if it wants to come on and talk about his show. You don't know shit. I might do a little football talk, actually, a little fantasy football talk. Now, I just had one last week with gorgeous Miss Elizabeth Cooper from the Caffeinated Cooper show was on, and we talked about like bucket list trips. She just got back from a safari in Africa. I thought that was kind of cool. So we started talking about bucket list trips and things, and I don't know, you get a couple drinks in you. She got a little frisky with some of her ideas of bucket list stuff. So if you're interested in what she has to say, she's a lot more entertaining than I am. So check out the last Gonzo, and yeah, but I'm gonna plan on doing another one next week before I skip out of town for my big fantasy football weekend, the last weekend of the month.
And for me, I have a special show tomorrow with my old co-host from the Rabbit and Red days, Cripple Cody. It's hard to get him on the show because he doesn't wake up till 10:30 at night. We call him the resident vampire. He wakes up at 10:30, goes to sleep before light. So we're going to be talking about the Beverly Hills Cop franchise 1 through 4. We're going to try to keep it 2 hours because Mr. Steve is going to be producing, and Steve needs his beauty sleep because he runs like 5 other shows already as it is. So Poe's not the night owl like Steve is. So Steve's going to, this is going to be a one and done episode. We're calling it Grinding the Axles for Axel Foley. And I know me and you have already talked about Beverly Hills Cop 1. But I've been trying to get him to do a show with me for a while, and he can only do 10:30 at night. So we're gonna start 10:30. Hopefully, be done by 12:30. And we're not really gonna do a review. We're gonna talk about our good times and our memories of growing up with Axel Foley. So. And yeah, we kind of touched on 4, me and you also. We did touch up on that one, but we are going to talk about 2 and 3. So it's going to be on the Mahoney Massacre and my Rumble channel. So it's going to be a one and done. He said maybe, and I'm going to spoil this for him, but he said maybe if he starts liking this again, because he hasn't done a fun podcast in a while. He usually does talk about like illnesses and stuff like that. So he's like, if I have a lot of fun, we'll see for the future. But don't think it's going to be a bi-weekly show, guys. It's Cripple Cody likes to pace himself. So, well, yes. And yes, if you get offended by me calling him Cripple Cody,
no, I don't.
He prefers that.
Hey, dude. Happy freaking birthday. Is it today or yesterday?
Today.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
How many PBRs did you have?
I've just had one so far. Been a busy day.
Oh, okay.
Well, while we have you here, what do you rate Revenge of the Nerds?
It's been so long since I've seen this movie. I don't even think I was a teenager the last time I saw it. Wow. But that end scene, the music scene, always sticks out in my head. It stuck with me, and I just remember it being a really fun movie and having the dude from Bloodsport in it. So, just for that alone, I give it 10 PBRs.
Yes,
that's nice. It has boobies in it,
and that's not a bad 10 PBRs either. That's a good 10.
That's the first 10, right?
Yeah, what was the name of that competition? Was it called the Kumite again?
Kumite, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Cody just picked our next pick. We're going to talk about Bloodsport, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Nice.
So Cody, since you brought it up, you are invited to the show if you can make it.
I will certainly try. No promises.
Okay. Too bad they didn't show up in Karate Kid and beat the hell out of Danielson.
That'd have been great.
That would be a great crossover. Van Damme shows up at the All
Valley. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to see Johnny Lawrence versus what's his name from Bloodsport and Revenge of the Nerds, the big dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Donald Gibb.
Donald Gibb, yeah.
Oh, what about is it Bolo? That's the character.
Yeah, he looks fucking rough now, though. The villain from Bloodsport.
Yeah,
he's not in good shape. Van Damme could definitely kick his ass now.
Yeah, you know that he was in a Bruce Lee movie too. He was in Enter the Dragon.
Really?
Yeah, he has
another one I haven't seen since I was a kid.
He has a very small role, and he's actually called Bolo in that too.
Well, a lot of people forget that. What was his name? The dude that played Tong Po in Kickboxer. He was in Bloodsport prior to Kickboxer. And
really?
One of the dudes said Bolo broke his leg in it. Yeah, he was just like a throwaway character in it.
I usually do a great impression of Van Damme saying his name. I want Tong Po. Give me Tong Po.
I loved that fucking movie whenever I was a kid. I wore out the VHS.
You guys are gonna be surprised what my favorite karate movie was of all time.
Yeah. American Ninja.
American Ninja, yes.
Really?
I was a huge American Ninja fan.
Man,
Great
I
film.
loved those as a kid, and I tried to go back and watch. It's probably been 15, 20 years ago, but I tried to go back and watch them again. I was like, oh, this is so cheesy.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I watched it last year. Actually,
I made friends with David Bradley, who's in part 3. So I'm hoping to get David Bradley on the Mahoney's Madhouse one day. Talk about his doing part 3 and part 4.
I miss those old ninja movies from the 80s. Those are great.
Yeah.
And those are great. Like, what was it? Ninja 3, The Domination or something?
Oh, yeah. Was that the girl?
Yeah.
The girl finds that sword? Yeah, that was good.
It was like super gory canon film. I mean, just 80s goodness.
Was that Cynthia Rothrock?
I don't think
No,
she was in
I
that
don't
one,
think so.
was she?
No, it wasn't her.
But she was popular in the 80s movies too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
she
also
was.
in the Dukes of Hazzard reunion.
Oh, was she? Okay.
Yes.
Cynthia Rothrock. I remember seeing her in Fast Getaway or The Getaway or something like that. It was a good movie. Had Corey Haim in it. Look it up. Yeah. But yeah, great film. Bloodsport next. Looking forward to that. So that'd be kind of cool. And looking forward to our fantasy football stuff coming up for the dog nuts.
In fact, let's make it a two for show. Guys, rewatch Enter the Dragon, and we'll do Enter the Dragon and Bloodsport.
I'll try. I'll try.
Well, if not, if you can't watch Enter the Dragon, you can come in for the Bloodsport part.
That I can definitely. Well, I won't have to watch it because I've watched that movie so many times. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's the same for me with Enter the Dragon. Like, I could recite the plot now. So
I know. That's the same with me with Beverly Hills Copulator. I know the whole thing by heart.
All right, guys. So, Love Connection says, we'll be back in 2 and 2. And thank you guys for watching. Much love from Mahoney Madhouse. Until next time.
Amazing!